Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. In today's video, I've got two stories for you and both of them have updates. So let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user AITA Roblox Hacker. Am I the a-hole for threatening to kick out my niece after she hacked my daughter's Roblox account? My 38 female daughter, 13 female, has been playing this game called Roblox since lockdown first started as a way of playing with her friends virtually, as well as curing her boredom. She was obsessed with this Roblox game that's set in a school because she missed her friends so much and it allowed her to stay connected with them. Her interest in video games has developed into an interest into technology. She's by far at the top of her IT class and has even started learning how to code in order to make her own game. My sister, 34 female, and niece, 10 female, have recently had to move in with us after my sister discovered that her husband was having an affair. They're staying at my house for the time being while she saves up money for a place of their own. My niece and daughter usually get along and they both bond over their interest in Roblox. Last week, my daughter was completely distraught and crying non-stop. She said that she saw her cousin playing on a Roblox game and realized her cousin's avatar had a lot more items than usual. She decided to join her, only to realize that her account had been hacked and she'd lost nearly every item she had on her favorite Roblox game. She'd lost 800,000 of the in-game currency and nearly her entire inventory, which she claimed was worth over 5 million of the in-game currency. She had spent the last 4 years saving up for those items and everything was gone just like that. My daughter began accusing my niece of hacking her account. My niece denied it at first, but quickly broke under pressure and admitted everything. The previous day, they had been playing the game together when I called them down to dinner. My niece has only been playing for a few months and I supposed she would be considered a noob. She begged my daughter to give her some of her items and my daughter refused, saying that she should earn the items by herself. When my daughter came down, my niece decided to stay behind for a minute to transfer all of my daughter's items into her account. I tried to mediate the situation, but my sister is refusing to cooperate. She told me that it's only a game, it's not like my daughter spent real money on it. I attempted to explain just how much this game means to my daughter, to which my sister said that my daughter should count herself lucky that her biggest problem is a bunch of pixels on a screen. She said my daughter was a teenager now and was too old to be acting this immature over a game. My niece refuses to give my daughter her stuff back and says it's unfair that my daughter gets to have everything she wants both in real life and online. I told my sister and niece that both of them were acting like ungrateful brats considering how I was letting them stay in my home rent-free. Today, I gave her an ultimatum. If my niece doesn't return everything she hacked from my daughter, they would both have 1 week to leave. I told her that I refuse to let anyone disrespect my daughter under my roof. Am I the a-hole? This may be too harsh as my sister is going through a divorce and doesn't have anywhere else to stay. Well, Opie, in my opinion, no, you are not the a-hole. Sure, it sucks that your sister's husband cheated on her and that your niece's dad is a scumbag, but that doesn't give them the right to treat you like this or treat your daughter like this. And what, just because they think your daughter gets to have everything she wants online and in real life, then they have the right to take something from her? No, absolutely not. She worked for that. She earned it. It's hers. So here's what I would do if I was in your shoes. Once the week has passed and if they haven't done anything to make your daughter whole, I would kick them out. And another thing I would do is check if your niece logged into her account from your computer. From what I understand, you can play Roblox either by downloading the app to your computer or by playing on a browser. If your niece logged in from the browser, then maybe her login information was cached. Or maybe she just clicked that pop-up of save your password without reading what it was. And then you can recover everything your daughter worked for. So again, OP, no, not the a-hole if you kick them out, and hopefully you can get your daughter's stuff back. And what do you guys think? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Bam1701 says, not the a-hole. I am getting so tired of people telling other people that they are too old to love the things they love. Let people enjoy the things they want to and enjoy life. It doesn't matter if your daughter is too old for the game or if she didn't spend any real money on the items. What matters is that your niece stole from your daughter and your sister wants to give her no repercussions for this action. How much longer until your niece decides that it is not fair that your daughter has something else that she doesn't have and takes it from you, or that you have something that she doesn't and takes that? Theft is theft, and if your sister doesn't put a stop to it now, it can start a slippery slope, especially since your niece has seen that she has her mother's approval. Yes, your niece has been given a raw deal, but that is no excuse to steal, especially from someone who not only had nothing to do with why she has this bad situation, but who was sharing her home to try to help out. Both your niece and your sister have taken your hospitality and broken your trust. Tanalil says, not the a-hole. I am so glad that you understand the value of time and effort your daughter has put into this collection and the value of that to her. Compare it to stealing a collection of crafted items someone had made offline that they felt was precious to them, that they spent time and effort putting together. If your sister can't respect your daughter's time and effort, then she can leave your home. And Listen to Learn says, your sister's child stole. She stole from her cousin, who treats her with grace and shares her game. She lies about it, and her mother tried to minimize her bad behavior and blame your daughter for having more and being too old for the game? Isn't lying and cheating why she is in your house with her child? Why is she teaching her daughter to behave like the father she left for lying and cheating? She needs to go back to her house and deal with her daughter and husband. You would not be the a-hole. Alright, well, the community agreed that Upi is not the a-hole and that Upi's sister should be actually trying to teach her daughter a lesson instead of just letting it pass. Now, Upi did not reply to any comments or give us any edits, so we have no additional context, meaning that we move on straight to the update to see how this story ends. Thank you all for your advice. My sister and niece moved out last week. She is in the process of getting an apartment and they're temporarily staying with a friend of my sister's for the time being. I warned her that if I contacted the developers, they would get her daughter banned. So either way, my niece wasn't keeping the stuff she stole. So she should try to minimize her losses. She claimed I had no proof her daughter hacked the account and refused to compromise. She said I was being petty and childish for making them homeless over a kid's video game. And don't get me wrong, I feel bad, I really do. My sister and I never really got along as kids, so I was hoping at least our kids could have a good relationship with each other. But still, they were inevitably going to leave at some point, so I suppose I only sped up the process. Now that my niece is gone, my daughter seems a lot happier now. She told me she was perfectly fine, but I knew her well enough to know that she wasn't. Some very kind and generous people here have offered to gift her some of their items to rebuild her account, to which I am extremely grateful. But my daughter said she felt bad about taking stuff from other people, unlike her cousin. I'd already reported my niece's account, which seemed to have no effect. I'm not very tech savvy, but I considered contacting the Roblox developers to see if they could reverse the transaction. However, my daughter informed me that doing so would only ban the account, losing all of my daughter's items in the process. Now, I would like to extend all my thanks to the commenter that suggested I try and log in to my niece's account. Believe it or not, it only took 5 attempts. Turns out that 10-year-olds don't have the best comprehension of internet security. Surprisingly, getting into the account was the easy part. I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time looking up how to trade everything back. I swear I'm getting old. I couldn't tell which items were my daughter's and which were actually my niece's, so I simply transferred everything my niece had just to be safe. When she came home from school today, I told my daughter I had a fun surprise for her waiting on Roblox. Words can't describe how proud of myself I felt when I saw the joy rush back into her face. The ironic part is that my niece had previously won this very rare Halo item from this sort of lottery system, which my daughter claims is one of the most expensive items in that game. Now, it was transferred to my daughter's account, meaning that my daughter walked out of this situation richer than she was to start with. My sister just messaged me in all caps, yelling at me that my niece has been through so much and I was just kicking her when she was down. She accused me of stealing from a little girl. I simply told her that, in her own words, it's just a bunch of pixels on a screen. Thank you to everyone for your support. Well, OP, good for you. You made things right for your daughter. And on this point, I'd like to open up a general question for you all. Do you guys think that because of all the way this happened, it's right for OP's daughter to keep everything that previously belonged to the cousin just because the cousin stole from her? Or do you think that in line with what OP told us that her daughter didn't feel right about taking stuff from other people, she should return the cousin's items? Now, I'm not gonna touch on OP's sister because she's just an idiot. It's not theft when my daughter does it, but it is theft when you do it. No, theft is theft. So just let me know what you think about that. And now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user kindly signed 6494. Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my sister for calling the police and CPS on me? I, 43 male, have been married to my wife, 45 female, for 15 years now. We have 3 kids, 9 female, 6 female, and 2 male. My wife and I are kinky. We are mainly into bondage and some mild impact play. Relevant. Since we had kids, we had to cut back on our playtime. Maintaining a vanilla sex life is already challenging with 3 kids, let alone carving the kind of alone time needed to safely engage in BDSM. About a month ago, we asked my sister, 48 female, to take the kids over a weekend so we can have some alone time. She agreed to pick them up from our house Friday evening and drop them off Sunday night. Saturday evening, while we were engaging in some bondage and impact play, my sister starts blowing up my phone. By the time I was able to answer, I had to take care of my wife's safety first. My sister is knocking our door down. We were frantic and didn't do a good enough job at hiding the rope marks on my wife's wrists. My sister says that her daughter is in the hospital, just a simple sprain while playing soccer, and she needs to go. We didn't notice, but she clogged my wife's bruises. The next day, she arranges some alone time with my wife and tells her if I am abusing her, then she will support her to report me and leave me. My wife was embarrassed, but she explained the whole thing to my sister. Then she told me what happened. I talked with my sister and also explained the situation. Even if it was very mortifying, she seemed to accept our explanation. Fast forward 2 weeks and we get the cops and a CPS agent at our front door. Apparently, there was an anonymous complaint that I was physically abusing my wife and kids. I was treated like an animal. The kids were questioned separately, as was my wife. I didn't even think about my sister, but my wife did. She took everyone to our bedroom, showed them our toys, and even offered to show them some homemade movies if it was going to convince them. Thankfully, they believed her and then left. My wife then called my sister, who admitted to calling the cops multiple times, but when they did nothing, she called CPS and hoped that they will investigate. My wife again showed her our toys, went into explicit details I never wanted anyone to know about our intimate life, and finally my sister was convinced. She said that she was sorry, but she was only doing what she thought was right. I, however, was deeply hurt that she thought that I was capable of doing what she accused me of. She could have cost me my kids, my freedom, and my job, so I told her that I am not ready to forgive her. She says that I am the a-hole, that it was a logical conclusion, and that I should be happy that she is willing to go this far to protect my wife and kids. So, am I the a-hole? No, OP, I don't think you're the a-hole. Both your wife and you told your sister what was really going on, but that wasn't enough for her. She called CPS, and for her to call CPS means that she must have seen something on the kids, right? And if your kids didn't have any marks of any kind of abuse shown, like she thought your wife had, then she should have stopped right there. Her calling the cops multiple times and then calling CPS to get you investigated, that's what makes her the a-hole. The part that I find ridiculous is that she's making herself out to be the hero for going this far. So no, OP, I don't think you're the a-hole. And what is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's go check out the community comments. Space Jesus is here says, not the a-hole. Anyone who thinks I'm a dangerous criminal is no longer welcome in my life. Anyone who calls CPS to have my kids removed from my home is no longer welcome in my life. Frankly, I would feel unsafe with my kids around someone who so easily believes I could be abusive. Who knows what else they'll talk themselves into? Your sister sat your wife down, talked to her, and still called CPS. She's not someone I'd ever trust around my kids ever again. She's going to keep going until she's proven right. Don Shakar says, not the a-hole. Your sister was concerned. Fair enough. She talked to your wife separately. Fair enough. But once your wife reassured her that everything was consensual, she should have dropped it. After that, calling the police, not once, but repeatedly, and when she didn't get the response she wanted, calling CPS was not concern. It was drama seeking. I think you've learned your lesson. Keep her away from your life. Judging a-holes says, not the a-hole. I understand the initial talk she had with your wife, but that's where it should have ended. I understand that a lot of people lie and try to cover up abuse, but when she was told that this was a consensual BDSM combined with the fact that she had the kids so that you guys could have some alone time, I think most people would have realized what was going on and moved on. Also, she called CPS when she had seen no kind of abuse with the kids. And Better Turnover 2783 says, ask your sister, what would have happened if I didn't believe your daughter got hurt playing soccer? Hurt so bad she had to be taken to the hospital and I reported you. The hospital has documentation of the injury and they are mandated reporters. Tell her, does that give her an idea of the magnitude of what she did with her lies to CPS? I'd step back for a long time. Ask me again next decade. So, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and everybody agrees that OP should take a very big step back away from his sister. Now, OP did not reply to any comments or give us an edit, which means we have no context, so we move on straight to the update to see how this story ends. So, I read almost all of the comments, but I was too emotionally exhausted to answer. Sorry about that. Some things happened since then. First of all, I took your advice and went no contact with my sister and her family. I tried to go no contact just with her, but she would use her husband and kids to try and get in contact with me and my wife. We also had her name taken off the school and daycare pickup list in case she tries anything there. Second of all, I also took your advice, consulted with a lawyer that I ended up hiring. His advice to me was to document everything. He requested a copy of both the police and CPS reports as well as all the texts she sent me and my wife. And lastly, he filed for an order of protection. He said that there is a small chance that it will be granted because while she is harassing us, she is not threatening or anything. But it will be good to have it on the record, in the case of any future altercations. We are also installing security cameras outside and inside the house as just an in-case measure. Thankfully, the kids did not understand exactly what happened. My eldest even thinks that it was cool that she met a pretty policewoman, so at least no therapy for the kids. Thank you everyone for all your advice. Well, OP, it sucks that your sister still refuses to listen to you and actually comply with what you're requesting, but at least you're making it clear that you don't want any contact with her. Who knows in the future, but right now, she needs to cool down. And the silver lining is, your family is unharmed. So on that note, here's wishing you guys the best. Thanks for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.